What's up guys, and welcome back to MOV Plus. Hope you're all keeping well out there. Looking at the warm-up now guys, we're gonna start things off with a minute of cardio of your choice. So you can decide what you wanna do there. We're gonna go with a light plate ground overhead, which is gonna look like this. Okay, so you're touching to the ground and then locking out overhead. We do that for the first minute. The next 4 minutes, what we're gonna do is alternate between 20 skips. So grabbing our skipping rope and doing single unders. Just gonna look like this. That then rolls into 10 sit-ups. So setting ourselves up on the ground, either with or without an ab mat, either is fine. But laying back and then sitting up nice and tall. And the last one there is 5 up downs. So we'll be going from a grounded position in the push-up position and then standing up nice and tall, moving in and out of that one. So those 3 movements will just be on repeat for those remaining 4 minutes. Good to go? All right, starting in 10. So 1 minute of cardio of your choice. We are going in 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So with this one, guys, we've deliberately gone a very light plate. It's important that this one stays continuous throughout the whole minute, so don't grab anything super duper heavy that's gonna have you stopping and needing rest. This is really more about just kind of getting the body moving, getting the blood flowing. So the weight plate itself is just there for something to kind of hang on to. It's the actual just movement itself that's gonna get everything loosened up and get those joints moving. Now, if you are doing this movement, guys, you wanna think about a nice flat back. So as Em comes down, she's gonna kind of soften the knees just a little bit, but it's a big hip hinge while she's keeping that spine in a neutral position. And then at the top, she's got that head just slightly poked through, getting that nice lockout position. But again, you guys can pick whatever you want with that one. Things like jumping jacks, any kind of burpees, running high knees, stuff like that is cool. So 10 more seconds, and then we're gonna move into the 20 skips next. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So grabbing the skipping rope, guys, we want to set ourselves up with a nice upright body position. So I always like to visualize like a pogo stick. It's straight up and down. There's no bends or breaks in that. I'm gonna be on the balls of the feet, okay, doing 20 reps of that one. That then moves to those 10 sit-ups. And we're using an ab mat, guys. This is just for a little bit of added kind of support in that low back. It also allows us to kind of open up those abs and stretch out a little bit more each rep. If you don't have it, don't stress too much. I would recommend though, if you're doing this on hard ground, to put maybe like a towel or a yoga mat or something underneath your butt, just for the sake of comfort. So 10 reps there, and then I'm gonna hit up 5 up downs. So there's really kind of 2 key positions with this, guys. We're thinking about a nice tall stand up. So head, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, everything stacked tall. And then we come down into that push-up position. Okay, so looking at all those same joints lining up again in that bottom position. Now with the arm position on any kind of skipping, guys, we're looking at trying to kind of rein in that upper arm. Hands should be like they've just kind of flipped out from the pocket, so just slightly forward of the body there, and just getting that nice, efficient little flick from the wrists. Tiniest little bit of movement at the elbows, but not too much. And you notice as Em goes through this, she's going to keep her butt glued to the ground. Sometimes it's tempting to kind of lock those abs on and almost do like a hollow rock over the top of it. What happens there is the bum's going to lift up and then slam back down to the ground. We end up getting a sore tailbone. So we want to make sure we allow that to stay still and let that spine kind of curve over the pad. So a good thing that Em's doing here is she's going narrow at the back with the feet and then wide at the top. That just allows her to really prop those hips up nice and high. All right, back onto the skips. Now, if you don't happen to have a skipping rope at home, guys, just literally just jumps on the spot. You can just mimic the movement. That'll be enough to get that heart rate up, get us nice and warmed up. Okay, 90 seconds to go. Now, as far as like a standard of movement goes, guys, we want to think about at the back, we're going to touch the ground, whether that's with a straight arm reaching back or bent arm kind of touching just above the head. And then that is going to come up to touching the toes at the top. And that way we're ensured to get the same range of motion every single time. You can also use that kind of that arm motion to swing through and create a little bit of momentum. Okay, 1 more minute. Nice. On the sit-ups again, so 10 reps here. So 30 more seconds. If you're feeling good, you can kind of up the tempo a little bit. It's up to you. If you're feeling good, feeling like the joints get nice and loose, just do your speed. Last 15 seconds. And time. Alrighty, so that is the warm-up done, guys. Grab some water, have a little bit of a chill, and then we're gonna have a look at move next. Alrighty, so we're gonna have a look at the move workout now, guys. This one is 10 minutes and it is an AMRAP. So 3 movements we're gonna go through, do them as many times as you can. We have 10 V-ups, so that is gonna look like this. Okay, so we do 10 reps on that. We then move into 20 suitcase lunges. So with this one, taking those dumbbells into that suitcase position, so by our hips, and then we are either stepping forwards, backwards, or if you have the space to, you can do them walking. The last movement there is 30 double unders. So we're gonna grab our skipping rope, and we're gonna go through a jump with a double rope pass. Alrighty, so we go through those 3 movements, 10 minutes, do as many rounds as possible. Good to go, Em? Yep. All right, starting in 10, we've got the 10 V-ups first. And go for it. So with this movement, guys, it is a fairly challenging one. 10's a pretty decent number to do, so you should be able to start off hopefully unbroken for at least a few rounds, and then look at maybe adding in just one little break in the middle as those abs fatigue. But hopefully you can hang on for a little while with that one. So we move from the 10 V-ups, we go to the 20 suitcase lunges. So if you've just done build, guys, it's very similar to the split squat, but now we've got an added kind of coordination piece in that we're gonna be changing the legs each rep. A lot of the same body language though, so posture tall, dumbbells staying stuck by our hips, so that's that upper body posture, staying nice and active. And then we are creating those nice squared up angles when we hit the bottom of that lunge. So always looking for the lead leg to have the knee stacked over the ankle. I'm doing 20 reps on this. So hopefully you guys have got sort of a weight option with this that is going to make it challenging to get 20 unbroken. And again, kind of like the V-ups, we'll hopefully get a few rounds of this unbroken, and then maybe towards the tail end of that 10 minutes, we break it up maybe once in there. All right, so moving into that third movement now, which is the double unders. So we did a little bit of skipping in the warm-up, guys. There were single unders. This is obviously more advanced now, more challenging. It's a double under, so every time we jump, rope spins twice. Now really the only difference in the technique is that we're actually jumping slower and jumping higher, and the hands are moving that little bit quicker. It's easy to kind of fall into the trap of thinking every part of it's quicker because the rope's spinning faster, but it's actually more a slow, high jump, and the hands speed up. All right, so moving back onto those V-ups, we've got limbs nice and long, so reaching the arms out overhead. Legs are out. Notice she's got the toes pointed and feet stuck hard together. Now, we went through the brief for this before, guys. I mentioned you can go forward stepping, you can do back stepping, and if you have space, maybe you've got a hallway or something like that, you can do these walking along. It's whatever feels comfortable for you, as long as they all fit the shape of what we went through before. So nice and tall, knee to ground, everything nice and squared up. One of the things that's very easy to fall into the trap of is moving too quick on that back step. So as she pushes back into it, coming up onto the toes. You want to make sure there's always a lot of pressure through the midfoot and the heel. That way we can really get those glutes and the hammies to kick in as well as the quads. All right, back to the skipping. Now, something interesting you might want to check in along the way, guys, hopefully you've done this before the workout, is the rope's the right length. So you stand in the middle of it, should be up around the kind of chest kind of height. If you feel like that rope's striking the ground a long ways out in front of you, it's probably a little too long. And if you feel like you're having to kind of tuck into a ball, it's probably too short. So you want to try and find that happy medium so you get that nice flow of movement. Moving back into the V-ups. So with this, guys, we start kind of balance on the top of our butt, and then we kind of drop out to a hollow at the bottom of it there. So you'll definitely feel your back kind of come on and off the ground. The feet aren't going to touch the ground, but they're going to lower down quite close to it. So at the bottom, they'll be like a couple of inches off there. So we get a nice open position, but we never want to go completely like flat and switched off. Nice work, I'm doing good. All right, back onto the ropes at 30 double unders. If you're someone who is just in the kind of initial phases of learning double unders, guys, and you feel like 30 is going to just take you forever and ever to get through, you can put yourself with like a 30-second time cap on it, basically. So if you check the clock when you start, and if it means you only get kind of 10 or 15 out in that time, that's okay. But just try and keep a bit of a limit on it so we're not stuck on the skipping the entire time. We want to be able to cycle through each of these 3 movements fairly evenly. Usually an unbroken set of double unders for 30 will take about 20 or 30 seconds. So that's the kind of time frame we'll operate with if you're just going for attempts. Okay, so we've got just over 4 minutes to go. Okay, so Em's switched to a slightly scaled version of that V-up, guys. This is a tuck up. So this is a really good option to have in your back pocket. Those V-ups, as I mentioned, they do get real spicy and real quick as well. All of a sudden, they'll just drop out. So if they do, we want to keep this thing moving, so you can switch into those tuck-ups, or you can even just do tuck-ups from the start. The main thing is that we're not getting too hung up on it. As I said, that set of 10 we should be able to get through in 1 to no more than 2 sets to get that finished. If you feel like you've got to do kind of 1s and 2s at a time, we'll drop it back a little bit, get into those tuck-ups. The same goes with these lunges, guys. If it just gets really like your legs are just fried and you can't string the reps together, ditch the dumbbells and just go body weight. We'll prioritize just kind of keeping this thing moving, keep it constant throughout the 10 minutes. One of the things we'll watch out for with double unders, guys, is those arms don't start creeping out, or that they don't start doing giant big circles. I'm going to try and just work off a flick. So try and work the leverage of the actual handle of the skipping rope. keep it nice and close, keep it nice and tight. If you find that your shoulders are getting burnt out, generally means you're kind of winding it over, doing too much action through the arm, rather than just working the technique to your advantage. Coming up on the last 2 minutes, so back into these tuck-ups. So similar kind of deal, guys. At the top, we're going to be kind of balancing on the top of our butt. The bottom, we're going to be in a hollow. This one, obviously, with the arms will be forward, though, rather than back behind us. And if you're wanting to, you can use your calves, your socks, or your heels as a touch marker, so you know you're hitting the same range each time. Either of those versions go, though, guys, the V-ups or the tuck-ups, we never want to have the shoulders completely relaxed back to the ground, or the head. Those things should stay up no matter what. Now, Em switched into a back stepping lunge now, so that's what this is going to look like. I'm actually a really big fan of this one. I find this, especially if you've had any issues with your knees in previous times, this can be a little friendlier on the knees because we don't have to push back so hard. It's good to kind of load into that rear chain a little bit more. So this is an option for you if you want to play around with that. Okay, about to roll in the last minute. Okay, last 30 seconds. Okay, so just going the last ditch burner here, back on the V-ups, smashing them out. Notice the momentum she's using with that arm swing. Okay, last 10 seconds. And time. All right, well done, Em. Good job. Guys, that is the move workout done. Have a little bit of recovery time, and then we're going to look at some cool down stretches to finish. Alrighty, guys, so now that all the hard stuff's done, we're going to just cool down with a couple of stretches. So the first drill we're going to do is just a wall calf stretch. We're actually going to use a bench just so you guys can see it a little bit better. So setting ourselves up with the heel on the ground, ball the foot on the upright, so that's where the wall would come in. You would use that to your advantage for that. We're going to go for 45 seconds on each side. This one's pretty straightforward, guys. You just want to try and get yourself in a position where you feel the calf and the Achilles getting that nice big extended position and stretching out. So you can play around with kind of rocking forwards and backwards, so kind of tensioning on and off, flossing through that ankle. You can also get a tiny little bit of kind of like rotation as well, so you can kind of feel like the inside or the outside of the calf a little bit, but just playing around with that. Any kind of vertical surface like a door frame or whatever, edge of, or the leg of a dining room table, something like that's good, just something to wedge the foot against. But just going 45 seconds on each side. This is a good one if you've done a lot of like running, jumping, skipping like we've done today. And switching sides. Now, when you go through this, guys, especially if you've ever had any issues with like calves or Achilles in previous times, don't force it into a place of like pain. Should feel like a nice, like a releasing kind of a stretch. So you'll feel a little bit of like borderline discomfort, but it's that nice kind of stretching, relaxing kind of feeling. So don't force the ankle into a bend it doesn't want to go into. We're just going to get that nice feeling of stretching everything out. Alrighty, so that's the first drill, guys. The second one is going to be a cross-body shoulder stretch. So we're going to take one arm across the body, wrap it up with the other one, and just draw it in nice and close. So she's stretching the left side right now. Okay, and what she can do as well is kind of bring the body around, almost get a little bit of rotation there. So we're getting rear shoulder. You'll probably even get a little bit of lat as well. So it's really important with that free arm that we wrap it as high up on the shoulder as we can, draw the whole thing in, and then just reach around as far as you can, stretch them out. And switching sides. Now, sometimes when people do this one, guys, they bring the arm across and they kind of get the other arm at the forearm, and that doesn't really kind of capture that stretch really well. So this is where you want to get as high up as you can, kind of cross over the back of your tricep there, wrap the back of the shoulder, and then you can really crank it up and get that stretch to kick in. We don't want the arm to just kind of bend. That doesn't really do much for us. And done. All right, so those are our 2 drills, guys. Let's get a couple of rounds of that, get everything nice and loosened up, and we'll catch you next time for MOV+. See you guys.